with Kristin Butterworth of Lautrec in Farmington, Pennsylvania. Thank you so much for being with us here at the James Beard House.
It's an honor to be here. It's very exciting.
Tell me a little bit about the type of restaurant that Lautrec is, because it's a little bit unique.
Well, it is. I mean, where it's located is in the middle of nowhere. It's the country. It's very unique in the fact that what we're doing is very special there, because it's not what you're seeing around the area.
Right.
So it's a French-themed restaurant named after Toulouse-Lautrec, the artist. And so we kind of keep that French theme, bright colors, reds, purples. The cuisine itself is very European influenced. I have a strong Italian background, so mixed with the French and the European is kind of like what we're doing.
And so, you know, sort of being in the middle of nowhere, you have the advantage in that there's, you know, Amish land all around you and a lot of farms, but on the other hand, you don't have a lot of that immediate access that a lot of restaurants have. So how do you balance that?
Well, it's cool because it is a challenge, which is the fun part, because we are doing what a lot of places are doing in downtown New York and Chicago. But we have the opportunity, like we work with a local farm 15 minutes up the road. We get our eggs fresh every morning. And then because we are in the middle of nowhere, wintertime is kind of a
challenge.
It's a little bit of a challenge, it's a little bit tricky, but we do a lot of canning. So we have an opportunity to do a lot of stuff like that, where we're making our own sauerkraut by canning it. We're making our own kimchi by canning it. All the stuff we're getting in August, we're now using in December.
Right, and so it's allowed you to be a little bit more creative by having that unique position?
Absolutely, and it educates you. Like, we're all just continuing to grow because we're trying to figure out, all right, I have 40 pounds of kohlrabi. What am I gonna do with that? Because the farmer just dropped it off. Oh, well, I'm gonna learn how to make kohlrabi kimchi.
And the audience for the restaurant is different because it's a destination restaurant, it's a destination place. So how do you see that, and how do you cater to that type of diner?
Well, that's the part of the challenge as well, because we do get the people that fly in from Washington, D.C., and they'll fly in just to come in the restaurant and they'll fly back out. And then we get the people that come in from Pittsburgh. And that's where it gets a little tricky, because Pittsburgh is a very meat and potatoes town. So I cook for like what I would cook for my parents. So we're trying to do refined comfort food. What can they pick up the menu and read, feel comfortable with, come in and then have the best service and food of their lives. And
then let's also talk about your background, because as you mentioned, you know, your grandparents were Italian immigrants, so you learned Italian cuisine. You also spent a little bit of time recently in New Orleans. How has your background affected the cuisine at Lautrec?
Well, I've had that exposure. I worked in Arizona for a while. I've seen the Southwestern. So you'll find a little bit in there. That's why to say we're a French restaurant is just not accurate, because you're going to see hints of Italian, you're going to see hints of like the Louisiana Creole and Cajun, which is very close to French. I mean, it's all very French influenced. So you're going to see little hints of that here and there, but like the European style is definitely where it's at, and it's kind of a mishmash of farm to table. What did my grandma make? You know, the pasta dough we use, it's only my grandmother's recipe. So.
And were you influenced growing up to be a chef because of your grandparents, or did that come later?
It clicked. It made sense. It was comfortable for me because I grew up around it. You know, if I was at my grandparents' house, it was always in the kitchen. You didn't sit in the living room. Sunday morning meal for us was, you know, she'd put on the spaghetti sauce before we went to church, and she would have the bread raising on the radiator. You know, and you would go to church and you would come back and we would have tea and cinnamon toast. And then you had, you know, the pasta and the spaghetti and the homemade bread, you know, and I was surrounded by that. You know, Christmas Eve was the whole family in the kitchen with tons of food, celebrating a traditional, like, Italian Christmas. You know, and it's kind of when you're exposed to that and you have that appreciation and understanding of it, it really was kind of like the springboard that made me interested in, like, I could probably do this the rest of my life.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely,
we really
thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.